Good morning and welcome to Breakfast News with the Sentinel. I'm Oinitam. And here are the top stories in today morning's The Sentinel. First, of course, is news about the education policy. The Prime Minister, here is what he said, that the education policy and education system are important means of fulfilling the aspirations of the country. This is what the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, said, inaugurating the session of Governors' Conference on the National Education Policy. The conference was also graced by the President of India and was attended by governors and lieutenant governors of all the states, the union territories, and the session was also attended by the vice chancellors of all the state universities. The Prime Minister said that though the responsibility of education lies with the central, state, and local level governments, their interference in the policy making should be minimal. Here is what Modi said, and I quote, "To fulfill the aspirations of the country, education policy and system are important tools. In this system, the central and state governments and the local bodies are interlinked. It is also correct that in the education policy, the government should have the least interference and less influence," unquote. And here is what the President Ramnath Kovind said. In fact, this was in the day-long virtual conference on the national education policy that got off on Monday with unanimity expressed by President Ramnath Kovind, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Union Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank, governors, lieutenant governors, administrators, and education ministers of the state and union territories, that the policy is not a mere document but an attempt to realize the aspirations of the nation. President Kovind appreciated the manner in which the policy is distilled into a coherent and effective document by drawing inference from lakhs of suggestions from across the social spectrum. He lauded the role of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in guiding the policy towards the goal of making the country a knowledge hub. And Assam Governor Professor Jagdish Mukhi said that he constituted a committee of select vice chancellors to study the ways and means and suggest the timelines and strategies for the implementation of the National Education Policy 2020 in the higher education sector in Assam. So it was a conference on the National Education Policy, the recently announced policy, the National Education Policy 2020. The Assam government has already constituted a 73-member committee to suggest ways for the best implementation of the policy. Now, moving on to some other news from the state of Assam. A section of timber depots and timber shops are virtual hubs of consuming points of illegal timber in the state, misusing the 10-inch bench sawmills. Such depots and shops run their illegal business in the state. In the past 2 years, 200 such illegal bench sawmills were dismantled across the state. However, the State Forest Department is yet to find the all-cure pill to fix the menace. Timber depots and timber shops were allowed to install the 10-inch bench sawmills mainly for the benefit of customers. The 10-inch bench sawmills are a boon for customers as they can get timber or planks in tailor-made lengths in sync with their needs. But the fact remains that a section of unscrupulous timber depots and timber shops has been engaged in taking undue benefits of such bench sawmills by sawing illegally procured timber, often with the use of blades longer than the 10-inch ones. Once sown, it is difficult for the Forest Department to detect whether a timber is legal or illegal. So this is something, the illegal timber business that has been going on in several parts of Assam, something that our governor, Professor Jagdish Mukhi, also has been highlighting, and he has been always talking about curbing this particular menace in every possible way. Now, for the maintenance of COVID-19 protocols in the polling stations under the BTC, that's the Bodoland Territorial Council, the state government has approved an amount of 18 crore rupees. Elections to the 40 BTAD, that's the Bodoland Territorial Area Districts, for election to the 40 constituencies under the BTAD for these BTC polls were earlier slated on April 4th this year. However, due to the pandemic situation, the Assam State Election Commission deferred the polls on March 20. The BTAD has been under governor's rule since April this year. Sources in the Department for the Welfare of Backward Classes and Plain Tribes informed that if the COVID-19 related situation normalizes in the state, then there are chances that the elections may be conducted in the last part of October or November this year. The final call in this regard will be taken by the Assam State Election Commission. Of course, political activities are on in the BTAD areas. It's absolutely full-fledged. The probable candidates, the political parties, are absolutely involved in campaigning and other political activities in the BTAD area for the BTC elections. The government of Assam will be taking a loan of 338.28 crore rupees from NABARD, that's the National Bank of Agriculture and Rural Development. This amount will be utilized for various projects to be undertaken by 6 departments under the Rural Infrastructure Development Fund. Sources inform that the highest amount of rupees 128.27 crore is for the PWD roads, followed by the departments of elementary education, animal husbandry and veterinary, soil conservation, agriculture, and public health and engineering. Now let's get into news from other parts, from states of Northeast, the other states of Northeast. And in the second such case in a week's time, 100 cartons of smuggled foreign cigarettes valued at 1.30 crore rupees were seized by Assam Rifles in Mizoram's Champhai district, officials informed yesterday. An Assam Rifles official said that acting on a tip-off, troopers of the Central Paramilitary Forces 23 sector raided some houses and makeshift structures at Zokhautar area in Champhai, and the search operation was held on Sunday evening, and the Assam Rifles personnel they recovered cigarettes smuggled from neighboring Myanmar. And Assam Rifles really said that a resident of Aizawl was detained in the operation, and the contraband and the detainee were handed over to Custom Preventive Force for further investigation and prosecution. However, no arrest has been made so far. A total of 75 boxes of foreign cigarettes worth 1 crore rupees was seized by Assam Rifles in the Champhai district bordering Myanmar on August 31. The Ministry of Railways has decided to operate 40 pairs of additional special trains on specific routes, and these trains would start operations from September 12th, and the reservations are going to start from September 10th. These will be fully reserved trains, and these will be in addition to the special trains that are already under operation. This is what the Ministry of Railways have informed. Now, as far as the news regarding 5 men in Arunachal Pradesh who had gone missing and, according to their families, have been abducted by the Chinese army. What Arunachal Pradesh police said yesterday is that their whereabouts are still not known. The 5 youths from Upper Subansiri district on the India-China border who were allegedly abducted by Chinese People's Liberation Army are yet to be known. 5 villagers from North area of the district who went hunting were allegedly kidnapped by the PLA. These men were earlier engaged as porters and guides by the Indian Army. The youths were reported missing by their families through social media on Friday. Two members of the group returned home and informed the families of the other five that they had been whisked away by the Chinese troops from Sera 7, an army patrol zone located about 12 kilometers further north of Nacho. In fact, Nacho is the last administrative circle along the McMahon line and is around 120 kilometers from the district headquarters of Daporijo. Meanwhile, Tejpur-based defense spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Harshvardhan Pandey said, and I quote him here, "We have alerted our teams and are in constant touch with the civil administration." The SP of Upper Subansiri said that they have not received any missing complaint yet, unquote. Meanwhile, the All Arunachal Pradesh Students Union, or APSU, condemned Chinese Foreign Ministry for the statement dubbing the northeastern state as South Tibet. The people of the state outrightly reject the dubious statement by Chinese Foreign Ministry dubbing our state as South Tibet. We strongly condemn such statements and advise the Chinese government to refrain from such notoriety, the union said in a statement released in Itanagar. China on Monday shrugged off the Indian Army's concern over five missing civilians in Arunachal Pradesh, saying Beijing has never recognized the state which it claims as part of South Tibet. So, even as tensions continue along the line of actual control around eastern Ladakh area, there's this new tension now building up in Arunachal Pradesh. Now, a little update on the corona situation in the state of Arunachal Pradesh and Meghalaya. In Arunachal Pradesh, the tally has now touched the 5,000 mark. 86 more people, including 11 security personnel, tested positive for the infection. 99 more people got cured. And as on date, the state has 1,520 active COVID 19 cases. This is the update from Arunachal Pradesh. Meghalaya recorded another death, and the death toll in the state now stands at 17 due to COVID. And the state also recorded 4 new recoveries, with West Khasi Hills registering 2 and 1 each from East Khasi Hills and Rebhoi areas. The total number of recoveries in the state of Meghalaya is now 1,560. So that is the update as far as the corona cases there in Meghalaya are concerned. The number of active cases stands at 1,457. Of these, 461 are females and 996 are male COVID patients in the state of Meghalaya. So that is all that I have this morning from the newspaper. These are some of the top stories in today morning's The Sentinel. Of course, there are a lot other news reports in the pages of today morning's daily. Request all of you to pick up a copy, or of course, otherwise log into our website for all the news and updates. The news and updates continue in sentinelassam.com. Do find us in YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as well to keep yourselves updated about the news and happenings from across the state, the region, the nation, and the world. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Till we meet again, take care, stay safe. Goodbye.